You are now listening to the podcast for geeks and the stuff they love, where each week we'll talk about everything from anime to movies, games, and prop collecting with the people who create and love it. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Vinz.
I'm James.
And this is your Geek Fix.
You know, a few months ago, I bought that Retroid. I showed it I talked about it on the podcast, which is like a retro arcade that was handheld, looked really nice. It was really expensive. I had to wait a while for it to be shipped to me to the U.S. I got all my stuff loaded onto it. It was working great, and I let my kids use it. And I have no idea where I even offered $50 to members of my family to find it, and it is nowhere. And because it was dead too, before they lost it, or by the time they lost it, I can't also use my Google Find My Device, because it's an Android device. And so yeah, I guess that's gone, but it was very cool when I first got it. And there's so many cool things. This is 2023. There's so many cool things that it seems like I'm getting constant advertisements for, and things that I know I want. And then I have my budget that I know I have. And then there's the stuff that we've also got this past year, or that I thought it'd be fun to talk about things. I know Vinz is getting stuff all the time, because he's always sending me pictures of things he's got and stuff. And, I just thought it would be interesting to talk about, as probably most all of you are out there are aware of, is that, we have those things that you watch videos and reviews, you watch unboxings, you get excited inside about it. You might even go in and put in your initial order, and then there's the stuff that you actually get, and there's the stuff that you get excited about. There's the stuff you wish you would have got, and then there's the things that you send back. And so that's really what this particular episode is about, is the stuff inside this world, not to be worldly and all that, but at the same time, the things that are exciting and new, and the things that we have, and the things that we're excited to share about. So that was a big thing that I thought would be fun to talk about. You guys know where I'm coming from on this? Do you have any experience with this?
Yeah.
What sort of things have you had that you've wanted, or that you got over this past little period of time here?
I got a Motorola MT500 portaphone, or a walkie-talkie.
Oh, yeah.
Model.
Because related to, for those that wouldn't know, Ghostbusters.
So
does it work?
Not anymore. So,
are you sure? Does it turn on or anything? Or
I definitely killed it today.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Well, today.
So, yeah. So the story is that in Ghostbusters, they use a walkie-talkie. It's a Motorola, and one of the known models is a MT500. Those are mainly US based, and they are for firefighters, police departments, train stations, that kind of stuff. It's like a professional walkie-talkie, so to say. Yeah. And it's also pretty old now. And it's a Ghostbusters prop, so people tend to buy them whenever they're on eBay. So they're going up in price and everything. So a while back, I 3D printed one based on files on the website, and I really liked it. It looked pretty good, but still, it's 3D printed, and for me, I want to be immersed in my cosplay, or immersed in the replica.
It's a heavy walkie-talkie. I mean, this is the kind that you could knock people out with.
Yeah, it's
super heavy. The real thing, so it wouldn't be light. It would be
the shipping was also pretty expensive because of that. But so I 3D printed it, and I went on cons with it, and it's pretty good, but it's still plastic. It's still you see the 3D printing lines, and you see it's being painted and everything. It's light and it does the part, but still, I want to have the real thing. So finally, I saw one that is cheap-ish, and I'm talking about $80, which is pretty expensive still for something. Right. So I got that, and I got the shipping was $25, and then I had to pay import tax also. It was pretty expensive as well. But being that it's only in the US, and there are not many of them out there that are that cheap, so to say, and it was a specific model I wanted. I basically wanted to have the model that I 3D printed, which is a specific model with like certain amount of buttons, certain amount of greeblies on it, so to say.
Yeah.
And I finally found one without an antenna, and I bought it. But like the battery itself is like the most of the weight. It's like a nickel cadmium battery, like really heavy stuff, and everything is like analog stuff. Like there are actual crystals that you can click into the thing.
Wow, like an old radio, huh?
Yeah, well, it is an old radio. So it has like 6 channels or 8 channels, and you basically click in the crystals in the slots for the channels so that you know which frequency they're on.
Wow,
it's pretty cool stuff. I basically ripped it all out because I don't have a charger for it. And now I put in a small MP3 PCB with a speaker and some batteries.
So it'll play some clips or something like that.
Yeah, so I have the same thing set up for my 3D printed one. That if you press the button, it will do the voices from the series or from the movies.
Right.
But for me, it's a replica and it's also a cosplay replica. So if I go out at a convention being a Ghostbuster, I don't care about all the weight because it's not working either way. And I don't think I'm allowed to use it or turn it on because of the frequencies here in the Netherlands are different than in the US.
Oh, okay.
And you need a license most likely for it to do so. So I basically ripped it all out as best and as carefully as I could so I could potentially put it back together again. Yeah. Or someone could. So I did it today, and also the fun thing is like the antenna that they have is like it's a brand and it's not really available, but someone figured out that if you get like a screw, like a hex bolt, and you screw it in, you put some heat shrink on it and a nylon cap. Then
it looks similar. Yeah. So that would make sense.
Yeah. So
I was
for $3, I got a new antenna.
The one thing about the Spirit Halloween one was I think that was the only thing that does look kind of similar. It's rubber, and it looks about right. It'd be about the right size, but
it's slightly smaller. Yeah. So
is it? Okay.
Yeah. So as you said, I shared a lot of pictures with you. A lot of Ghostbuster stuff came in. The things that I still looking forward to are some very expensive things like a remote control car, and a laser cutter. And all that kind of stuff. But apart from it, I'm pretty covered. So I've been sick for a while, staying at home because I have some, as they say, intercostal muscles, like your ribs. Like I ruptured one of them, so I can't really walk or
doesn't
talk.
take much to do that, though. Yeah.
No, and so we're spending some time buying stuff online. So that's my physical therapy is clicking eBay listing.
Yeah.
So that's basically it for me, like a lot of Ghostbusters stuff. Hopefully in the next month I'll be able to make some videos about it as well. Yeah. But that's mainly the stuff that I've been getting in the mail.
I mean, that brings up along the lines of what we're talking about is like, eBay and some of these other sites also have where you can put things into a cart or you can put it into like a wish list and just kind of hold on to it. And so you can go virtual window shopping, basically. Which I used to do a lot more. I remember going on eBay back in the day and spending hours just literally being like, I wonder how much it would be for a full-size Iron Man outfit or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, things way outside my range. Or looking up a DeLorean that's already been converted to. It's amazing how many on eBay you can actually find several DeLoreans that have already been converted into Back to the Future DeLoreans, and stuff like that, like just kind of window shopping that way. Have you guys done that anytime recently?
Dreaming.
Yeah,
I mean it is, you know what I mean, but at the same time,
I think I showed you, Jeremy, and I don't know if I could share the image, but there was like this sniper photography kind of deal I found online while looking for stuff, and it's a gun shape, but on top of it is a giant photo camera.
Yeah,
and
that's so cool.
Would love that.
Yeah.
Like
go near the White House with that or something.
Yeah.
And
if you've got a photo sniper, it's very interesting stuff. I mean, I would think it would be a cool.
It had a long telephoto lens on it. Too. Yeah.
And it was basically like you had a stock, and you had like the barrel was just a photo lens, and then just a photo sniper. But it's also looking into Ghostbusters stuff, finding weird stuff like window shopping. We have like these army dumps, or I don't know if you're familiar with those, like surplus stores.
We have something similar here.
Yeah. So overstock and whatever that gets dumped, and they sell it. And stuff you find, like especially here in Europe, then at least in the Netherlands, like it's all. I found some really cool vacuum tubes. I was like, oh, this is really cool. That might be something for a prop. But then it shows like it's the Second World War, and then you turn it around and there's like a swastika on it.
Oh, whoops! Yeah,
it might not be a good Ghostbusters.
Maybe in the alternate universe, but not.
Yeah, exactly. But and also like, do you need a wheel from an F-16, like a landing wheel, or do you want to buy chaff grenades by the dozen? Yeah, sure, why not? It's like $15 a pop. It's like really weird stuff, and that's cool. But that's what I like about the online stuff, is that a lot of those mom and pop shops now tend to digitize their stuff based due to COVID, so that they can still sell stuff. And then to go through these things being very much categorized and looking through all that weird stuff, that's pretty cool.
Well, you mentioned, Vinz, on one of the recent episodes, you guys have something similar to our Craigslist here. The thing with Craigslist is that you can go in and request things too that aren't on there. So you can go in there and be like, I'm looking for this, or I'm looking to trade. Like, I have this stuff. I'm looking for things that are related to this, and kind of, it is kind of a leap of faith, because you also might be communicating with somebody that's wanting to come in and take all your stuff and burn your house down. But
Kevin Smith did a movie about it called Tusk, right? Where a guy basically asked someone to put on a walrus outfit, and that was apparently a real Craigslist request, that someone made a hand-stitched walrus outfit and would accompany them during the day because they got lost at sea, and the only companion was a walrus, and they wanted to relive that. And they would ask someone on Craigslist if they would wear the costume for a day or something and give them $500. And they made a whole movie about it called Tusk in the end.
I have to see that.
It's a weird movie.
Wait a minute. Something.
I'll check that out today. I mean, I think that's kind of cool, because then you never know. I mean, I've mentioned multiple times I'm in an area where a lot of people don't have similar, thoughts or ideas, but at the same time, like when I wanted to get my, when I was really, really into the flight simulator stuff, I wanted to get this specific yoke that was just so much money online, or maybe it wasn't just the yoke either. I think I also wanted to get the throttle and things, and was able to find it, surprisingly, even though they were kind of rare at that point to get access to. And somebody had it, and I drove about halfway, and we met behind some fast food restaurant, and I gave them the money, and they gave me the stuff. It was like a weird drug deal or something, but at the same time, I mean, you just never know. Or conferences too. I found that some of the conferences that I've gone to, I've been able to say, hey, I know that you're coming 3 states away, but since you're coming to that conference and you happen to have this stuff, I'll bring these things. I've gotten a couple of things that way too. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to find and access things, even if you aren't sure that they're out there, without having to invest anything too much in it. But at the same time, I don't know. I've also got a lot of old things that I've hung on to that are now outdated, but when I got them initially, I thought they were so cool. I still have them. Like back in the day, well, I think I mentioned on here before, there was something called the OQO computer. And back in the early days, I mean, this thing was above and beyond what you would expect. I mean, it functioned better than things. It actually functioned well enough. It could even probably get by today. And I had it running Windows. I can't remember what version of Windows was the newest version at that time, but I mean, like I had some of those running that. It was a rare thing to find because the company had already shut down. They went bankrupt because basically they made a product that was more expensive than what they were charging for it.
No,
and a Japanese company tried to take it over because there was such a demand for it, and they couldn't. And I was buying and reselling these things, and was actually making money from it. And then I found out the replacing the batteries, because the company didn't exist anymore. I got into fixing the batteries in a really dangerous way. But I mean, it was such a cool little thing, and it's like slid up. It fit inside. Yeah, with my. I was like, you know, it was. These things were small enough you could put them inside your pocket, and you could play like hardcore games and stuff. It had a touch screen, and then you flipped it up, and there was a full keyboard with a mouse on it. You know, and it had one of the biggest storage. It had the largest storage capacity of small device at that time too. But at any rate, so that was a thing from back then. And then I also got really into 3D, like projective 3D screens at one point in time, way back in the day. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because recently, this past year, there's a new device, a new tablet that came out by a company that's releasing a lot of these 3D displays because it uses a technology that really, if it can get enough power behind that screen, is the closest thing you're going to get to an actual hologram.
I think I've seen this recently as well.
Yeah. So I bought one last year. I was thinking, you know, it'll be worth it for the channel too. It was on sale at the time. And I had some money in Amazon, and it was on Amazon. So I was like, you know, I'll get this, and then I'll do a video on it right away. Stuff probably have pretty good, you know, it'll pay back a little bit, and then I'll just resell it. And I've never made the video, and the thing, I still have it. But it's very cool. My kids love it and stuff. I'll do something on it pretty soon, because I figured out how to make your own 3D projective display for like what would it be, $1.50?
Wow.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I like stuff like that. I like weird things until they become really common. You know, it's like VR. I got into VR when nobody was doing VR, and it was unique. Then when everyone was doing it, I don't know. or also watches. I have a whole bunch of smart watches that were able to make phone calls. They were cheap to buy. They had a camera built onto them. All these things. They were better, you know, they worked better than any of the Apple watches or anything that came out for years after. And yet, yeah, once when people started wearing them, I was like, oh, I'm not really interested in, I'm not wearing, I'm not interested in wearing smartwatch anywhere. I like stuff that's kind of unique and kind of bizarre and special. And sometimes when it kind of loses that, or then people start making it annoying, then I have no interest in that anymore. So you know what that's like? Yeah, I don't know. What about you, James? What do you have that's new? I know that some of the stuff that you have that's new for you. Yeah, I should link to that actually. You released some video and things actually on Instagram. Was it on Instagram where you put that? Yeah.
So what Jeremy is talking about is that I have recently been investing most of my time and money into a saltwater reef aquarium. So I have a 200-liter tank, which is what I started with, which like 55 gallons, I think, would be the equivalent. And I originally started with just typical salt water. I had to leave it with just salt water and the rocks and stuff for a month. Had a whole lot of issues, which I can go into a different time if people are really interested, or in the comments or whatever. And I recently just put in a whole bunch more fish. So I just put in 2 clownfish because
you have the cast from Finding Nemo, basically.
I have the cast from Finding Nemo. So I really enjoyed Finding Nemo, Finding Dory for whatever reason. It's just like super nostalgic, like childhood, and I've always wanted to sort of recreate that. And so I finally started. I'm in theory going to be on TV showing off the aquarium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they should be coming over next week. So next Friday to record. So I'll let you guys know how that goes.
Well, yeah, that's cool.
But apart from the
shrimp though was my favorite. The shrimp was the selling point for me, because when you reached your hand, I knew that shrimp like cleaned things and whatever else, but literally, so James sticks his hand down into this tank. The shrimp like comes up onto it and like hangs out on his hand and things, and is like interacting and stuff. I'm
Cool.
like, now I want a shrimp.
So that
That looks like a fun pet.
It actually goes into like more than that. If you like, obviously not in the tank because there's not space, but if I had a big enough tank, or if you were in the wilds in headquarters, if like divers typically can take out their mouth breathing piece, open their mouth, and they will crawl into the mouth and like just pick away inside of the mouth.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
They act as your personal hygienist.
Yeah.
I think you also had some pictures of your cat looking at the fish pretty interestingly. So
eyeballing next to me, although she's been very good recently, she hasn't gone for any of them, but it's still worrying.
That's a lot of temptation. There's a place, if we go to Vegas together, there's a place that became famous because they made a TV show called Tanked was the TV show, and I think that's also the name of the actual. I don't know why my camera every now and then will turn off and on. The actual place I think is called Tank 2. It's huge, and you can get everything. You can get your saltwater fish and stuff there, but they build custom shark tanks. Their their specialty is shark tanks that fit inside people's houses and stuff, or like really the high end of exotic stuff,
also
like
come with lasers,
jellyfish and stuff like that. Yeah, built onto their backs.
Well, like Despicable Me.
Only on Shark Week though, and then you gotta watch out for Sharknado. But yeah, so anyway,
it's a giant fan in the bottom, just sharks running around. Like this water tube,
actually. I've always wanted a tank that was big enough that like it made you feel like you're inside of it, part of it, but naturally that's like a lot of water, tank. A lot of scariness. Yeah,
it's a lot of cleaning.
Yeah. Well, that's why you get the shrimp, right? Just let them do it. Get a few of those.
If you want a tank that is bigger than you could need more than one shrimp.
Yep, gotta load that thing up. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's something that'd be interesting to see, though. I think we ought to go and check that place out. But yeah, I don't know. I like stuff that's outside of your reach sometimes too. I mean, I'm doing a video. By the time that this episode comes out, I'll have already released the laser cutter video. Vinz mentioned earlier, laser cutter. And honestly, laser cutters have gotten to the point where, same thing with 3D printers and everything else. It's amazing that I bought a 3D printer and salivated over it. It was really high end and was super expensive. And then last year for Christmas, I bought my son a 3D printer for a little over $100. And he's making better 3D prints than mine does. You know what I mean? Yeah. And really the laser cutters are going to the same point. Like last year, the company that I went with, which I did look at building one from scratch, but honestly, with the way that things are going and to get the highest end laser, the most powerful laser right now is a 40-watt laser. Actually, it came out by this company, but the way that the trend line is going, like from the time that I looked at them at the beginning of last year till now, they're a quarter of the price that they were, and the newer ones, each time that they come out, they're reducing, the prices of everything else. So it's kind of that's an area where I feel like the market is changing pretty quickly to where I think next year a lot of people are going to have laser cutters and a lot of people are going to have fires.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was a little worried. I did 8 hours. So when I did this, which is what I do even in the video, when I made that, this took, guess how many hours this took?
But just said 8 hours.
Guess. Yeah, I did. I did give it away. I wasn't paying enough attention to what I was even saying. Yeah, 8 hours.
Yeah.
But at the same time, eight hours of that laser going in, and the because I have the 20 watt, so I don't even have the 40 watt laser, right? The 20 watt has its own air feed in it, right? And so that requires a separate power source. And then I also have an air assist, which plugs in on the side. And that requires its own power source. Then you got the laser cutter that has its own power source. And so it makes all this noise and stuff. And things are flashing and things. And and you're supposed to not walk away from it. You're not supposed to not watch it. And I have a way of monitoring it elsewhere, but at the same time, yeah, you should also be constantly checking the video. 8 hours, yeah. I mean, like, come on. So I assigned my kids and things to come down. You have to put on these glasses too that really look cool. But at the same time,
just a pro tip: don't get the glasses that come with it. Buy proper glasses.
Oh, buy nicer ones. Yeah. The
you only have two eyes.
This also has a shield, and I think I'm gonna go. The cool thing, their new thing that they released, because it seems like every single advertisement I'm getting right now is for Xtool at the same time. I don't know if it's because I had to get video clips and things for this video or why, but I got a lot of ads. They just made a new box. You're getting it too?
Yeah.
They made this new box that you stick on top of it, or a new fire safety thing. And basically, when it senses that there's smoke or a fire, it puts out the fire instantly. And it's
with
so
argon.
I'm like, well, now I want that. Yeah, this is one of those things like you could keep buying more and more stuff to kind of keep upgrading it. But I don't know.
With the 3D printers, they also basically the gist is still that you should not leave them unattended. But
true,
you got thermal runaway, you got AI cameras checking to see flame stuff, and same thing with printers.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, would you keep an oven on for 8 hours? That's the whole thing. Like, consider it as an oven, and would you leave it unattended for that long?
At least, I mean, with my 3D prints, I feel like generally speaking, because we can monitor it elsewhere and stuff, and on my phone, I mean, you can shut it off, but you're giving up your print basically that you're doing. My fear with this is like you get 4 hours into this plate cost me $50. Like I'm not gonna redo it. So like
that's true.
Like you don't want to push. You're hesitant to push that button. But I don't know. I think that I think you're gonna find that there's gonna be a lot of people out there. They're gonna have more and more at home, CNC types of equipment and lasers and cutters and things. I think it's not going to be that uncommon because how many people do you know that have 3D printers now that didn't have them 2 years ago?
A lot more than before.
Yeah. People that aren't even like that invested in 3D printers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like their kid just kind of was like, I don't know.
As you say, things are so cheap to start with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In comparison to,
I still remember like it used to cost like $600 for a cheap Chinese one, and now like 200 even.
Well, similar to this, I mean the reason why those are also better now. I mean, it used to be you get the cheap 3D printers, for example, you'd need to replace the nozzle head and stuff like that. You don't really want to use the parts it came with, but now because of the competition and the I should say the big part of it is too the community. That's the same thing with these laser cutters, is that you have these communities that contribute and give so much that then they refine things, and then kind of the standard becomes to such a level where if I buy a cheap 3D printer, honestly, then the printing head and the fans and everything that's I'm getting on there and the bed are the same quality of what the expensive ones were by big name companies, years ago and stuff. So I mean,
to be honest, it's still a very not an exact science kind of thing, because I have 4 3D printers and mine break all the time. And even if it's an expensive one or a cheap one, like a Prusa can break just as easily as another cheaper Chinese printer. But the support is different.
On those, we're switching into a different type of podcast, but at the same time, I mean, this is generalizable to most anything. Is like the thing with those is they're also specialized to what you're wanting to use or do. For a long time, I think I got away with using the same hot end, for example, regardless of what I use. And I was printing, a pretty wide variety of materials, like broader than I think most people do. I was not just like standard PLA or whatever. I was doing like iron and stuff like that.
Stuff,
which you're supposed to use. There's different types of heads, and they kind of go from one end of the spectrum to the other, and there isn't really many that even though they say the copper heads are supposed to be kind of the best, those aren't so great for some other things, and so they get clogged, and when they get really clogged, they get ruined, and then you kind of need a new one, and so I mean there's a lot of things where you have to kind of know what is it that you're exactly getting this for. Just buying some things just because on the market, doing your research beforehand is pretty is pretty important. Speaking of buying things and things on the market and things that people did or didn't keep, did anyone get did anyone look into getting the Steam? Oh crap! What is it called?
The Steam Bolt.
Is it the Steam Deck?
Yeah.
Stream Deck and Steam Deck really throw me off. Yeah, I paid my $5, to reserve my slot back in the day, and then that came and went. I decided to give it up because I wasn't really that. I was pretty convinced that I'd probably release another one. All the little kinks will be worked out and stuff. Do I want to get it? We had Martin Smith on here last year, and he got his, and when it arrived, like the day it arrived, he took it out of the box and he's like, he got cold feet and he sent it back. Yeah. So like I mean, and I know a lot of people that was true. Either A, they gave up their slot, or they sent it back, or the ones that did get it were like, now I feel like I have to be carrying this because it's not light. I got to be carrying this around. I need to be forcing myself to play. Even though I'm not traveling or anything, I need to be like, I need to be playing all my online
I think
games.
also the fact that, as you say, like, especially with COVID restrictions going on back then, like, where are you going to use it if you're not allowed to travel?
Right.
You just sit at the couch and play it. Like, I can sit in my chair and play on a proper screen with proper ergonomics.
Yeah.
And
Same game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I appreciate the technology.
It's hard.
Though, yeah. But
yeah.
It's an interesting concept.
If it was cheaper, there's a couple of things like that this came out this last year. If it was cheaper, I'd be like, maybe I would do that. Similarly, I think we all get those little ads for things that are still kind of basically like a Kickstarter or whatever. Like, this is your last chance to kind of get this device before it goes up in price and stuff. Get your special discount for this thing. And have you ever given in on any of those? So you ever fallen for it?
No,
I gotta say I have.
I tend to buy stuff via Twitter. So like some people develop something for the Game Boy or like the school device, and then I just like, I really need to have it. Like I for example bought this thing, this for the Mr. FPGA.
Okay.
That's called a PlayStation snack adapter. So you have, if you plug it in, you have like zero latency PlayStation controller stuff. So you can use the light gun for it.
Right.
It's still in the box.
Yeah.
So,
I know. Yeah.
Oh, and I don't want to dox myself because I believe my address is on here. So please send the rest.
Oh, yeah. I could try. Remind me. I'll make sure I blur stuff.
Yeah.
I've got a whole stack of things over here that I always keep off of camera that are in box. Very cool when I got them, but in box that I won't get to. But at the same time, did I want to miss out on that opportunity? I'm curious what's that?
No. I was going to say I'm looking forward to waiting to purchase the NECA Portal 2 gun at whatever point possible.
Oh wow!
Just to have that on
that'd
stand.
Be cool.
But I feel that'd be like, as you said, I'll have that, put it up, and then that's it. Like, it's on the wall, and there's not much more you can do with it.
Well, I mean, there was a time when that was so. Here's the thing about I think Vinz had mentioned the name of ThinkGeek earlier, for example. When ThinkGeek was around, and also tied in with places like GameStop. You guys have GameStop too, don't you? They're kind of international a little bit, not so much. The thing about them is, if you act at the right time, like they have stuff that goes on sale. So, for example, the big item that we all have, the Pip-Boy. Pip-Boy went on sale there at one point in time, and when it did, it was $20.
Oh wow!
I didn't act on that, but at the same time, I don't even think they had it at my store for very long. But honestly, when they go to phase something out, like they really clear it out. They clear it out for really cheap prices.
Yeah.
And same thing was true with a lot of the ThinkGeek stuff. But then when they were gone, like now, those items that they were selling are like so freaking. This is my favorite one. That's expensive, outrageously expensive. These things were like, I don't know what they were at the store. I think they were like $5 at one point.
Oh, the holotapes.
And then they went up a little bit in price. Now, go onto eBay, look up one, see how much it is. It is $120. Who are these people? What are they thinking? Who's gonna buy that for $120?
I actually asked the one company if they had some spares, and they sent me 2 for cheap.
They're great that way. Yeah, they'll send parts actually, but I hate to overwhelm them, but
don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But you know what I mean? Like there's those opportunities where you're like, ooh, this is on sale.
Yeah.
I should buy this while I have the opportunity.
HasLab Victory Saber Transformers, and I still have a bit of buyer's remorse whether or not I should sell it or not. And on the one hand, it's a really cool Transformer. The other hand, it's still in a box somewhere that I don't touch because I don't have a proper place to display it yet. Also, I don't really care much about Victory Saber. But I was like, okay, this is a cool HasLab kind of one of a kind deal with Transformers. So for the Ghostbusters Proton pack, I'm glad that I did that because it's a really good deal.
That was a good HasLab.
Yeah. But for
the end your wands, right?
Very good. The ones they were already out, so you could get them cheap because the movie was delayed. And now they go for like twice the amount of money.
Yeah. See, you brought that up again. It just makes me sad.
We won one.
I didn't see one until after. Until after they were popular. I didn't really even have the thought.
I could check if I can get one cheap still.
Wow, yeah? Let me know.
But also, I'm working with someone on maybe getting some aluminum files so that I can make an aluminum one as well.
Oh, wow. That'd be a lot heavier to carry on your back, though.
Yeah, but still cooler than just plastic, I guess.
It is. It's true. Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what people that are listening and watching us, what it is that you have that's on your wish list inside your I don't know, whatever it is, eBay or whatever, what it is that you've requested from people that you're looking to trade. Yeah, the thing that you dream about, and then at night before you go to bed you click through and watch a bunch of reviews and unboxings. Let us know. If you've enjoyed this podcast and want more, stay tuned for that, but also check out our channel, join the community on YouTube that goes by the same name, your Geek Fix. Be sure to check out Vinz on Twitter at massivedmg_ and on his YouTube channel, massivedmg. Check out James at Mr. Malto4 on Instagram and the Replica Prop Forum. We also want to hear from you, so be sure to send your questions, stories, and other projects to yourgeekfix@gmail.com. In the meantime, this has been your Geek Fix.